Okay, Born to be Wild, NE here, and as always, NE stands for Nebraska. Go Big Red Yay Huskers. Hey, I'm going to do a playthrough of Old School Tactical Volume 2, Scenario 3. Scenario title is FUBAR, and takes place on June 18th, 1944 in the Cotentin Peninsula in France. The Americans find themselves behind enemy lines and need to try to extricate themselves from such situation. Victory conditions for the Americans, they start out here along the south edge on the map, and they're set up in this way as I've chosen, and they need to exit a reduced squad or a full squad off the north edge to win. The Germans win by stopping the Americans from reaching that objective. It's a 7-turn scenario, and of course in this game system, if needed, an 8th turn might be played if the die roll so indicates, and if it will be helpful. Some special rules. The American squads are veteran, and so they move with stealth. So when they're targeted with opportunity fire, the firepower is halved of the Russians, rounded down. Now they're behind enemy lines, so American artillery is firing into the battle zone, and starting in turn 6 or later, the Germans can call in 1 round of American off-board artillery. The Germans get to place the strike location. The Americans will roll for accuracy, if not accurate, for direction and drift, and the artillery blast would be resolved. All the American units start on the board. I have a sniper, I have a sergeant and a full squad with a BAR, B-A-R. I have a lieutenant with 2 full squads and a BAR, and I have a full squad. The Germans start with these units that are off the board and will enter on their turn. At the top they have a sergeant with a rifle squad and a light machine gun. Between these 3 hexes, there's a second line squad that has a light machine gun, and entering between these hexes, there are 2 second line squads. The Germans get some reinforcements on turn 6. They get a sergeant and a second line squad that can enter along the south edge of the map. On turn 5, they get a full first line rifle squad with a light machine gun that can enter on either the east or the west sides of the map. And on turn 4, they get 2 full first line rifles that can enter on any map edge. Again, turn 6 is when the Germans, turn 6 or later, the Germans can call in, using one of their impulse points, an American off-board artillery strike. So let's get started. Now I've got the dice tower up here to start with. As action moves up, I'll relocate it down here, more than likely, unless the Germans want to use that space, but that doesn't happen too often, at least when I play. So we'll start with the initiative die roll. A tie, 6 to 6, re-roll. And the Germans get a 6 and the Americans get a 2, so the Germans will have initiative. In this scenario, the German impulse points are determined by 2d6, so they'll get 11 impulse points, which is way more than they need, but at least they won't be short. In this scenario, the American impulse points is 1d6 plus 3. So 8, and they also have way more than they need. I should add that the German gut check level in this scenario is 8, where the American gut check level is 7. Again, they're veteran squads, so they rally better, or they don't break as easily, I should say. So the Germans will take this first line squad and go 1, 2, 3, 4, and set up in some woods, taking 1 impulse point down to 10. My experience is the Americans really need to book it in this scenario. They got to get off that map edge, and things get pretty congested down there with potential fire. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They just, at least in the first couple turns, book it as fast as they can. Now that was 2 squads moving, so that's 2 impulse points. The Germans like to get this guy down in the action. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's 1 impulse point, taking them down to 9. Americans will 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 squad. The Germans will enter and go 1, 2, 3, 4. Pulse point. Americans go 1, 2, 3, 4 with their last squad of the turn that haven't moved. The Germans will move this other second line squad, and they'll just book it into this area here. Actually, they'll go up there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, they can do that. The American sniper does not start hidden. At least the scenario doesn't indicate that. And I assume that unless the scenario indicates it, they don't. So he's going to move 3. Now the Germans don't have anybody more to move, so they're going to just try to build some cover for some key places, primarily this one. And they roll 3, so they fail to get cover. The Americans will try to get cover for this stack. Can't quite see that 5. They're successful. Taking an impulse point. The Germans will try again, and they fail again. The Americans will attempt to get cover for these guys, and they fail. Germans will try cover again, and they fail again. Those guys don't know how to dig holes, evidently. And with the last impulse point for the Americans, they will try cover here, and they succeed. And they do that just in case the artillery comes by. The Germans will try again. They fail again. They'll try again. Fail again. Another time, and they fail again. And one last try, they succeed on their last attempt. Gives them a little bit extra defense. that takes them down. So that's the end of turn 1. There's no melee or anything else. So we remove the administrative markers. There's no weapon or leader reassignment yet. There's no free rally required. We'll go right into initiative for turn 2. The Americans get initiative for turn 2. The Americans will get 5 impulse points. Excuse me, 8 impulse points. And the Germans will get 9 impulse points. Alright. So, this is the turn where the Germans can bring in anywhere along this south edge. I'm going to put it on a, it's not a playable hex. And they can call in the artillery strike. But the Americans got initiative, so they'll move 1, 2, 3, 4. This guy. Try to opportunity fire back at them there. And then try to move there. So these people fire, they got 5. By half is 2.5, and the fraction you round down. So it's 2 to 4. They'll fire at the squad that has the leader attached. So it's -2 with no die roll modifiers. Oh, they get a 12. Oh my gracious. Alright. That's a casualty on the squad. The leader has to do a casualty check, and the leader is killed. Oh my god. So that's 2 casualty points up here for the Germans. This is a great start for the Germans. And then it was a broken check, so the squad needs to get a 7, and it does, so they're not broken, but they have moved. So that was 2 points for the Americans and 1 point for the Germans. And since that had an effect, devastating effect, the turn goes to the Americans. Cover goes off. Wow. That hurts. One, two, three, 4. Cover doesn't go with them. Cover goes away. One impulse point. Germans will be degrading line of sight. They'd be attacking with 1. They're going to live to another day, fight another day. We got to move. Here. So they're used. My big fingers. And the cover goes away. Americans don't have anything to fire at, so they'll move this stack. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's an impulse point. The Germans now are going to chase these guys a little bit. 4, 5, 6. I'll come 1, 2, 3, 4. the luxury of impulse points to do that. American Sniper will go 1, 2. First line or second line Germans only have a range of 4. This guy's going to come down and get in that stone building. The Americans, the only thing they have is the sniper who can fire at that leader. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The leader's defense is 5 in a wooden building. They shoot at the leader. Their firepower is doubled, so it's 4 against 5 with a die roll modifier of -1 for moving fire. 12 -1 is 11 on the -1 column. Casualty and a broken check. So that leader is gone. The Americans get 1 casualty point. This guy flips over to used impulse point. So that was worthwhile. The Germans will try to dig cover here. They do not get it. The Americans have nothing else to do. They'll dig cover, attempt cover, and they get it. Now the Germans are going to call in the American artillery strike. And they're going to place it right there. That's an impulse point for the Germans. American rolls for accuracy. It's not accurate. Direction of the drift is 4, which is this way, which might be good for the Americans, and the number of spaces is just 1. So these guys do get an artillery attack. That was an impulse point for the Germans. So that's a 3 when it's 1 space away. So it's 3 to 5 against the full squad. So it's -2 with no die roll modifiers. 9 is a broken check. So check for the Americans, they fail. Now against this squad, it's the same deal. It's -2 or 3 to 5 with no die roll modifiers. Americans roll again an 11, which is a casually shaken, which kills that squad and gives the Germans another victory or casualty point. And Americans hurt their peoples. Attempt a rally off broken status. They need a 9 or better. Just fail it. So they ship over to shaken. This is starting out really well for the Germans. Germans will attempt cover here. They do not get it. And they will attempt cover it one more time. And they do not get it. So that turn went very well for the Germans. The administrative markers come off. The free rally attempt needs a 7 or better and fails it. No other anything. Weapons, no. Okay, so initiative for turn 5. And turn 5, the Germans have a full rifle and a light machine gun that come in on either the east or the west side. Ties with 2 6s. Germans get the initiative in turn 5. Germans get 6 impulse points. The Americans get 6 impulse points, 3 plus 3. Cavalry points are not yet at 5. So the Germans are kind of happy with how things are going. I'm going to move the die roll, WWII dice tower down here at this point. Germans get first turn. They will bring on their squad. Not yet. There's a lot that they need to do here so far. Germans will bring on this squad. And I'll place it. One, two, three. Americans will try to rally that broken or that shaken unit. Needs a 7 or better, and they just got it. Costs an impulse point. Germans Germans are already in pretty good shape. Americans are a squad and a leader down already. The Germans will try to build cover. And they get it. Taking that to a +3 defensive bonus. Impulse point. Like I said, the Americans need to book it. And they're going to go we'll go 1, 2. Germans sorry, artillery came off the end of the turn, my bad. Germans could op fire, but would be triangle of 6 with 2 minus 4 column with nothing. We're going to actually try to move 1. These guys will up fire. These guys are moving. These guys will fire 4 to 3. And moving fire is minus 1 on the die roll. So it's plus 1 column, minus 1 on the die roll. 8 would be a 7, which would be a broken check. Germans need an 8 or better to pass. They do not pass. So they are broken and stay right where they're at. These guys are used. So that took impulses from Germans have used 2. The Americans have used 2. I have that right, guys? No, they both started at 6. Germans have moved 2 units. Americans have moved and fired 1 unit. Yeah. Okay, since that had an effect, it's the Germans' turn. That's not kind of what they wanted to happen. They're going to try to rally that broken unit. Need a 9 or better. They fail. But that changes them over to shaken. Costing an impulse point. Boy. Americans got a book at 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where they want to go. The Germans will fire at them here. I'm going to fire at them there with 6 halved is 3. 3 to 4. There's only 1 unit there.